The funeral for former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright is being held today in the Washington National Cathedral.
President Biden, former President Bill Clinton, and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton are among those in attendance. Each gave a tribute to Albright. Former President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama also attended the ceremony, along with more than 1,400 people.
Albright died in March from cancer at the age of 84. She served as Secretary of State under former President Clinton from 1997 to 2001, and she was the first woman to hold that high-level job. Joining us now is CBS News correspondent Christina Ruffini. Hi, Christina. So you were there in Washington. President Biden delivered a eulogy for Albright in which he told a story about his trip to Poland, and this is in March, so this is after Madeleine Albright had passed away. Mr. Biden said, even internationally, her name carries a lot of weight. Let's listen to his words.
But when I mentioned the name of Madeleine Albright, there was a deafening cheer. They all stopped everything and started to cheer. It was spontaneous. It was real. For her name is still synonymous with America as a force for good in the world.
Christina, tell us more about the sentiments we heard at the funeral.
I mean, in addition to calling her, which you just heard, a force for good in the world, the president said she was a force of nature and that her story was America's story. And there's been a lot of emphasis on the fact that she did come here as a refugee. Her family fled Nazis. They fled communism. They then came to the United States. And all those years later, that daughter was able to grow up to become the first female Secretary of State. And while there has been emphasis on her role as a woman in that job, the emphasis has almost been on the fact that the novelty kind of wore off after she got in the job because she was so tough. She was such a badass diplomat that it didn't matter what her gender was. It mattered that she was getting the job done. And it's been a combination of stories, both funny and very serious, about her getting in the room and holding her own, about fighting for U.S. intervention in the Balkans to stop the genocide there. And, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton told a story about how if negotiations were going too slowly, she would swap out her pin and wear a snail pin to let people know that she was annoyed that it was taking too long, because she was famous for wearing very statement brooches, and I've got one on in honor of her today, and we saw Secretary Clinton was wearing one as well. There was also several stories about her dancing. President Biden said she once taught another ambassador at the UN the Macarena on the floor of the UN, and then there was another story about them finding her in Buenos Aires, doing the tango on the floor and then dancing at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Secretary Clinton said one of the things they've bonded about in their later years was being grandparents. And former President Clinton said one of the last conversations he had with Secretary Albright involved her wanting to leave a better future for her grandchildren and being very concerned about the rise of authoritarianism, very concerned about what's happening in Ukraine, and saying, look, essentially the march towards democracy, the march towards freedom is not inevitable. There are power-hungry people, there are authoritarianisms, and we have to fight for freedoms abroad and at home because they're not just a given. And so a lot of emphasis there on not only what's happening currently in Eastern Europe, but what's happening here in the U.S.
And Christina, she was such a trailblazer, and hearing those stories, it's hard not to smile. I want to ask you about the legacy that she leaves behind. What will people remember her for?
People will remember her for just being tough as nails. They were talked about how she wasn't a very physically large woman. She was, Secretary Clinton said she didn't believe she was really 5 feet. But her presence in the room and her presence in history and her presence as this diplomatic figure in Washington is immeasurable. She also was instrumental in fighting for women's roles in the national security sphere, in making sure underrepresented groups had a seat at the table, making sure women's voices were being heard in this sector of government where, it has traditionally been a male-dominated field. She's also very famous for that quote she said during the Clinton campaign, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. And Secretary Clinton echoed that here. It was very controversial at the time, but it is this idea that, you need to reach behind you and help the next generation up. And in her later years, she was very focused. She was a teacher at Georgetown. She was very focused on helping the next generation and continuing these ideals that she learned as an immigrant to America, and that she learned, through her upbringing and watching what had happened to her parents, to her country, and then bringing that all to bear as she became Secretary of State.
A towering figure to whom we owe so much. And Christina, I'm glad you brought up the language of the brooches, because we were talking about, Nancy and I were talking about that in the makeup room earlier, and it looks like you're bringing it back. So bravo, Christina. Thank you.
I am. More brooches and news in honor of Secretary Albright. That's what we're doing here today.
Great to see.
Thanks, Christina.
Thanks, guys.